guys, today we're going to check out our review of the Three Sisters Wilderness area. Stay tuned for the end to check out the new permit system and how all of that works in the Three Sisters Wilderness area, the Obsidian area, as well as just general information on how to get your trip rolling. Check it out. To get to Three Sisters Wilderness, you have to go through this teeny tiny little town in Oregon. There is a Dutch Bros and a Schuler's Pizzeria. Shout out. They hooked it up after many a miles.
They had real bacon.
They did have real bacon, like strips of bacon on their pizzas. It was amazing.
The cheese was amazing.
Then you head down this gnarly washboard dirt road for... How long was it? Like 4 miles?
No, it was 10 miles.
No, it wasn't 10 miles. It was long though, because it was a washboard road.
8-mile road.
Then we parked at Pole Creek Trailhead. I thought it was nice. It was away from, like, the only people that knew about it were people that were mountain climbing or backpacking or serious hikers. And so my truck was pretty safe there for a week.
We are serious hikers.
We are? Really?
I mean, you just said serious hikers know about that trail.
I mean, I know about the internet, so. The first area you walk through is there's a burn scar back from the fires in 2017, so it was about 2 years old. It was fine. There were burn scars later that were even worse. At the beginning, you climb up this little ridge. There's a couple water crossings. We were in early August, so there was plenty of water on the trail for us.
I got my sock wet.
He did get a sock wet. Saw lots of animals on our trip. There were deer, these adorable little gray birds that were just precious. Tiny, tiny chipmunks that were just adorable. And then some butterflies, which we'll talk about later. We hiked 8 miles and stayed at Golden Lake. This one had a couple of provisions, I guess. Is that what you call it?
Rules
to camp, and that you couldn't camp within 250 feet of the lake, and then you couldn't have a fire. I think it was 125 feet, or it may have been 250. I don't really know.
That's 72 meters.
The next day we hiked 4 miles to base camp at Green Lakes. We stayed there at site number 19, which the ranger that we ran into recommended. Note, there are lots of reindeer. Note, there are lots of rangers in the area, and with a new permit system, which we're going to talk about later in this video, you got to keep that in mind because you will probably be checked. We got checked at least 3 times. What was nice about the Site 19 was separate from all the other sites, and there was a beautiful view of this deer on the ridge that was just fantastic and amazing. Like I said, we base camped at Green Lakes. This is the bottom of Broken Top, which something kind of cool happened, huh, David?
What happened?
I don't know, something kind of cool. Click that link right there that just showed up. And you can find out. So we climbed Broken Top. Some pros of this one, the views of Golden Lake and the other side of the mountain that we had camped on the night before was phenomenal. The rock was really cool up there too. There was some different kind of rock. It's all a volcanic area. It's about a half-day climb, maybe 4 hours. If you're in shape, maybe less. I had to walk backwards up the trail because I was very tired and it was kind of steep. What was nice is that you can drop your pack at the bottom and come back for it after you climb the mountain because you have to take the same trail down anyways. And there's a campsite right there, so it's pretty easy to stash it and go up there. Some of the cons on this one, it is very exposed. It is very steep. Not very steep, it was pretty steep. We did not summit it because David proposed and I was tired after that. But also, it's kind of like a ridgeline walk and like a knife's edge kind of thing, and I didn't feel like doing that. The next day, we hiked out to Moraine Lake. It was only a couple miles, I think about 4 or 5 miles, but To do this, we took Fall Creek Trail, which hooks up with Devil's Lakes, Green Lakes Trail. Both of these are popular day hike areas, so there's a lot of people. They're also self-service in this area, which is nice. For the first part of this trail, you follow a creek. There's lots of water and greenery, bunch of flowers. There's a couple creek crossings. At Moraine Lake, there's designated camping spots that you have to stay in, also at Green Lakes. Moraine Lakes, a lot of these are up on a ridge, so you're pretty far from the water. But we stayed at number 15, right?
I think so.
And it wasn't too bad. You do have to climb down, which was kind of a bummer in flip-flops, like camp shoes, but it wasn't too hard. The next day we climbed South Sister, which was our big climb for the trip. This is also called Charity Mountain. It is a 5.5 mile to the very top with 5,600 feet of elevation gain. So the total hike was 11 miles. This was a phenomenal hike, and the first mountain I think I've ever summited, something like that. Some of the cons of this hike: it was very exposed. I got a sunburn on the back of my legs that are still there a year later. There's lots of shifting dirt at the top. The top is scrambleable, is what people called it, but it's not hard, but it's not easy. It was long and steep. I have no idea how we got to the top, to be honest. And the climb down was murder on both of our knees, especially my bad knee. Pros of this hike: it was beautiful. The views were just phenomenal. You can see both other sisters, Broken Top, Mount Hood, Mount Washington, and Mount Jefferson. There is a sweet frozen glacier at the top that's a 1/4 mile across, and you can walk across it, which we do. Part of the way up the mountain, there is the tallest lake in Oregon, Teardrop Lake. It is glacier water, so it is fresh and cold. That beautiful blue color was just so cool to see. And still dripping from the glacier in August, which is pretty impressive. There are these adorable little chipmunks that live next to that lake that habitually will steal people's snacks if you're not looking, so make sure you keep an eye on your snacks.
I gave one a mango with tahini.
But this is a false summit because it looks pretty close to the top, but it is not. I think it's at least another mile or so to the top, which is actually, when you climb up that's another fake summit because you have to go to the other side of the top of the mountain to get the actual summit if you want to get to the like geographical marker or whatever. It's pretty, and that's where you get the coolest views. So tip: if you go to the top, make sure you go to the other side of the top because it is the coolest part of summiting that mountain. That climb down was murder, and we soaked our feet in Moraine Lake that whole night because we were exhausted. The next day, we did a 15-mile hike to Obsidian area, which is also another pyramid area that we'll go over at the end of this video. The trail out of Moraine Lake hooks up to the Pacific Crest Trail, or the PCT. The PCT runs along the side of South Sister and Middle Sister. There's plenty of water on the way, except where All Trails tells you that there's a creek, because there is not a creek. Do not rely on that creek like we did and make mistakes.
What happened?
Dude, All Trails failed us. Told us there's a creek right here, which there is not at all. Not even a trickle. Yeah! Yeah, it's still there. So, we're gonna go find some more water somewhere. Hopefully. Because we're pretty much out. Huh, David?
Yes.
Are you out?
I have like half a liter.
Okay, then I'm gonna finish my liter. But right after you enter the Obsidian area, there's the beautiful waterfall, and then earlier along the PCT, there's a couple creeks that you can hit. Once you hit the Obsidian Lakes area, there is obsidian everywhere. The whole ground just sparkles, and it is amazing. If you camp in the Obsidian Lakes area, you do need a permit. We camped on top of this hill with a beautiful view of Middle Sister on one side and the sunset on the horizon on the other side. I highly recommend this area. The next day, we hiked 15.5 miles over the ridgeline between Middle and South Sisters. This was a lot of volcanic rock, a lot of climbing. You do this really cool climb through volcanic rock, and then right before the ridgeline, there's a lake on either side of the ridgeline, like a glacier lake. And so you climb down into it, and then you climb over the ridge, and then you climb down into the next lake, and you go over another little hill, which was pretty cool.
Except when you get to the end, it's pretty scary because it's all exposed and deadly falls on each side.
Yeah, so the climb out of those two chamber lakes was pretty insane. That trail is also a user trail, so it is not maintained, something to be aware of. Make sure you have trekking poles for that area. Scary climb down on the other side towards Camp Lake. Camp Lake was this beautiful lake.
We were supposed to stay there.
But David needed to get back to this pizza place that we were talking about. We stopped there to recharge, get some water. The water is a glacier runoff as well, and so it was really fresh water. Lots of swimming. We saw a couple of people swimming in this area. Our climb down Camp Lake, it was all downhill, pretty much all downhill from there, right? Then we hook up with a trail that we took out of when we first got in. So we did make a loop, but we did come back on the same trail. Like, we had to hook up back to it. But the trail back, there are lots of creek crossings, and head down into the Pole Creek trailhead entrance and head back to our truck. Again,
Have some pizza afterwards.
that pizza was bomb.
Real bacon.
Real bacon. So, I'm gonna get sidetracked on bacon.
In conclusion,
No, I have notes for the
she has notes
the permits.
for the permits.
Like I mentioned earlier, Three Sisters Wilderness has a new permit system. This is called the Central Cascades Wilderness Permit. It's available if you want to backpack in that area Memorial Day to the end of September. They begin issuing permits in early April. Overnight permits are $5 per person per night and $6 permit reservation fee. Also, another thing that you'll need is a recreation pass. We bought the Northwest Forest Pass. And then if you want to stay in the Obsidian limited entry area, either hiking in it or staying overnight, those are available same Memorial Day weekend to the end of September. May 1st is the first day to reserve permits. That one's only $6 for the permit reservation fee. This area, there's no campfires allowed in this area. So for us, with the new permit system, we would have had to pay $35 each, plus $6 for the reservation fee, plus another $6, plus the Northwest Forest Pass, which was $40.
45.
No, I think it was $40. So we're looking at
$145.
no. It would have cost us with this new permit system $122 to go on this trip. So that is definitely one of the cons of this trip now. But the positives of this trip way outweigh any of the negatives. We had some gorgeous views of half of Oregon, for that matter. We met some pretty cool people on the trail. We got to follow along a couple of them. You get to spend some time on the PCT, which is cool.
Shout out to that smelly dude.
Overall, we would highly recommend this backpacking trip. What would you give it? 9 out of 10?
8.5.
8.5. Okay, we got a 9 out of 10 and an 8.5.
Because my knees are not
Oh, that's true.
So 8.5.
Thanks for watching this video.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be notified on our weekly videos.
Yep. Peace out.
Hit the button. Hit the button.
Which one?
Hit the button. The one flashing.
70 plus 40 plus 12.
35.
22.
32.
What?
Mhm.